everybody. Today we are going to be practicing drawing from life using pencil measuring techniques. So I have a little mini still life set up here in my wonderful dining room. And I'm going to kind of just show you how to use pencil measuring to draw something. So I have a board with a piece of paper that I'll be showing you occasionally. And then I also have my still life present. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to draw just like a general height for my tallest object. So I'm going to go with my bowling pin because it is my most largest object that's here. And I'm just going to choose a height kind of on my paper. Okay, so that's the height I've given my bowling pin. Okay, and now I can go in and I can see some very clear markers. So my bowling pin has a top, a skinny spot, a fat spot, and a bottom. So there's 4 parts to my bowling pin, and I just kind of need to figure out where they are. So if I hold my arm out all the way, completely straight, and I use my pencil to measure the height of objects, I can see my bowling pin is almost the same size as my pencil. I can look at that and say, okay, well, right here is the height for my skinniest portion. Okay, that is about 1/3 of my pencil. So if I come back to this and I say, okay, well, where's 1/3? This is about 1/2, so this is about 1/3 right here. Yeah, that looks about right to me. I can say my skinniest portion of my bowling pin is going to be here. Okay. Fun fact is that the fattest part of my bowling pin is also at 1/3. It's just the bottom third. Okay. So I have that marked as well. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in and I'm going to just kind of give estimates for some sizes and things. So right now I'm just kind of drawing a general. I know there's a circle here and a circle here, and then they're kind of combined. Okay. If I want to look at the width of my objects, if I do the width of my bowling pin, okay, it's about this much of my pencil versus the skinniest portion of my bowling pin. It's about 1/3 of it. Okay, so I need to kind of make an estimate for how much all of those things are. So again, I'm going to measure my whole bowling pin. I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to measure the skinniest portion, which is pretty much just about my eraser and this. So if I do that, look at my paper. My skinniest portion is only about as wide as this portion of my pencil, which I have marked here. I'm going to put a circle on the top that represents the kind of the oval-y shape of the top of the bowling pin, and then I'm going to put another bigger circle here that is about 3 times as wide as this. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So I kind of get my circle. It's really more of an oval in here. And then I would go in, that's definitely too wide, and I'm going to connect them to make my bowling pin shape. So bowling pins are really round on the top. You come back in. And notice my marks are pretty loose. I'm not doing anything too crazy. It's about like a bowling pin. It's not the worst bowling pin I've ever drawn. Okay, so now I've got my bowling pin. Let's get skinnier up here. Let's look on some of the other things that are on the table. So I have a book, and I have a coffee mug. Actually, I have 2 books. One's just really skinny. And they're all sitting on top of each other. Okay, so if I look at my book, okay, I'm actually able to measure 2 sides of my book. I can come in here and say, okay, here's the long side of this book, and there's the short side of the book. And you can see how the difference is. If I look at my long side of the book, kind of starting over here, it's a base, it goes underneath. There's a little bit of space because there's a small book is on top of that. Okay. And then look at how wide it is compared to how tall it is. Okay. I've got a little kind of a wonky corner. This goes back in space. not too far. Okay, so I have like the bottom book is on here. Maybe a little bit longer because coffee mug's got to sit on there. Okay, and then I know that this goes back because my stuff's all sitting on it. Okay, so there's a back side to it. Then there's another little book. Starts about here, so if you can see it, it's right here. Okay, and it stops over here. It's not a super wide book. Okay, so it's a little bit, it's right up on the edge. Definitely can't see it as much. Perfect. Okay. I know my stuff is sitting on top of it. So I can just see the red of the little book, and you can see it kind of comes up to about here. Right. Right. So now I've got my coffee mug. I can look at my coffee mug compared to my bowling pin. Where did it hit on my bowling pin? It's below here, right? So now my coffee mug is only about this tall. It kind of hangs off this book a little bit, very precarious. And it touches this book here. So, got my little coffee mug. And then I'm going to put a little handle over here. The handle, all right. And if I really want to go into it, I can put the top of the pedestal that everything's on in there. And now I'm throwing my bowling pin, my coffee mug, and a couple of books, all in that image. So ultimately what you're getting down to is the idea of pencil measuring. You're able to compare angles to other things. If you wanted to be simpler than starting with the shape of a bowling pin, you easily could start with just the outline of like putting it in a box. And we're going to pretend that the bowling pin is in a box. And I could start by saying, okay, well, how wide is this box? Okay, versus how tall is this box? So I know it's about a third as wide as it is tall. So if I just decide that it is this tall again, I know it's going to be a third as wide, right? So if I came in here and I could just, in my eyeballs, measure it, say, okay, I know my box is going to be about this wide. Right, it's about a third of that measurement. Put a box around my bowling pin. And I have now some really basic measurements for drawing my bowling pin, right? And say, okay, well, I know a third of this box is going to be the neck. Okay, and I know that the bottom is going to be this wide. So I can using the picture, continuing to look at it, look at it. And it's got a round ball on the top. I kind of got a bowling pin. Okay? So as things get more and more detailed, you're going to be able to go in and say, okay, well now I can go in and add the collar of this. Kind of comes up, it goes to about this height, and then I can put on my ziggy zags. If you want to make sure that you add the little lip, that's the rubber bottom on the bowling pin, you can. And the Brunswick symbol that's on the side. You could go in and draw all of those detailing just on the paper. So this box technique is just if you need more direction than just an up and down, the side to side. Which really this is a little fast, but you catch my drift. Alright guys, get to drawing.